Hello everybody, welcome to my review of the premium Vpet case from Zenin. So first off, let's talk about the packaging here. So, besides the little card that comes inside there that says thank you for believing in us, that was pretty cool to see that. I did pre-order this like super early when they first announced it, but here's our little box packaging. It's just a little brown box that just says premium Vpet case. Pretty cool. Don't know what that whole little thing right there is for, but I don't know. Overall, not too bad. You can see just opens up, there's nice protection in there, and that's pretty much it. So it is very well net protected once you do get it, and of course it does come with the regular Zenin goodies when you do order stuff from them. For those who don't know, every time you order something from Zenin, they'll send some nice little business card right there, some cool little stickers, which some of them just dropped out, but there's another cool little sticker there, and then there's two mini ones that I'm going to try grabbing. There we go. We got a little Seadramon and a nice Virus Metal Greymon, and of course 2 Japanese Digimon cards, which is pretty cool. And this is pretty much where my collection of Japanese Digimon cards comes from, because I have not ever ordered a pack of these cards. Which is crazy to think about that, but they don't really sell them in my area, so they don't even sell the English ones in my area, which is probably sad to say that, but oh well. And here's the case itself, which is a very nice material. It's very thick plastic. It will protect the device really well. And as you see, it does have a nice little latching mechanism, which is sometimes a bit hard to open. But in my experience of how you open it is you just push forward and then pop it open. See if I can actually do it this way decently. There we go. So all you have to do, push forward and just open. Which, like I said, it's not the easiest case to open, and it's probably like a big issue for me, but it does stay closed all the time, so not too bad. But overall, it works pretty nicely. You have the nice hole for the buttons and a nice little protection for the screen. You also have a hole for down at the bottom for the color devices, because as you know, the colors have a little hole for charging because they don't use regular batteries. Now overall, in terms of experience, I do think this device has some goods and positives for each of the type of Digimon you throw in it. So for example, let's throw an original in there. I do not like this little ledge area, by the way. It kind of holds onto the Digimon a bit too hard in a way, especially when you're trying to pull it out, because it just weirdly holds onto it. So kind of a pain right there, but overall I don't think it's going to harm the device, but not my favorite. Now for the original bricks, I do think it is a bit too loose, and I feel like there probably could have been a way to like put some padding or something in there for the originals, because the originals are like the thinnest of the bunch. So compared to something like the X and 20th, where they are super thick, and even the color where that's even thicker slightly. The original models have the issue of being a bit too thin, so that means you kind of have a hard time hitting these buttons in here, and especially just trying to hit each one of these type of things. And as you hitting the C button, it's kind of hard on the original bricks. And of course it has a nice little rattle, so if you're walking around with this, all you'll hear is a lot of just kind of a pain there, but overall it still does the job decently, protects the screen, and the buttons are just kind of hard to hit. So would not recommend this case for the original Japanese bricks. Now I am going to do a bit of a different specification here, because the reason why I mentioned difference right there is, let's say if you have a keychain still on your original American or Australian or whatever Western release you picked this up from. As you notice, the chain is quite large. Nice little circular chain. Now the issue is you can't even fit the chain in this little case here. I understand why, because if you tried extending to it, there'd be a lot of issues with it, but it is kind of sad. To easily fix this, you would have to just take off the chain from the little end piece right here and just reattach it once you get to the other side here. But overall, it does not support the nice little big chains from the original Western releases, so keep that in mind when you are looking into this one. Now, let's talk about the devices I think this is really great for, which is the 20th and X line. So fun little factoid here is that the 20th, X, and R all use the same shell mold. That's pretty much all they do. They're still same thickness and everything. So I do think these devices probably have the best luck when it comes to this case here, because it fits the whole entire case super nicely. So, plop it on in. You don't have much of a rattle. You might have a little bit of a rattle, but it's not as loud of a rattle compared to the other one. All the buttons are super easy to hit because it fills out the case super nicely. And everything's still nice and protected. Nice little X logo there, still protected pretty nicely. So overall, I think this is probably the best suited for this little era of devices here. So in my personal opinion, if you are going to get these cases, I do heavily recommend them with the X and the 20th and the Rs. Because they just fill out super nicely, and just you could hit everything super easily in them. And now for the last one, to show off here. Actually, show off the 20th fitting in there. Like I said, these are the same mold, but I'm just going to show it off for y'all just in case. So, still not much rattle. Still hit all the buttons easily. Like I said, the 20th, X, and R both all use the same mold. So, I don't have an R on me, sadly. But I just wanted to mention that because they do all have that nice same molding to them. So, I do heavily recommend this case for that little era of devices because overall it still fits super nicely. And nowadays they make really fancy versions of those newer ones, of these older ones, I guess I should say. Because, for example, they recently did a version of the X with like a bunch of really pretty art that you want to probably protect. And they did the same with a 20th, where they did a bunch of really pretty art on it. So I'd probably recommend getting a case for, well, getting this premium Vpet case for that era of devices. Now, the last one I want to talk about, the color, also works super nice in this one, just not as nice as the 20th and X and R. So this one is probably another one. It is slightly thicker than the original, so that does mean you still have very easy access to the buttons, just not as easy of access compared to this era, I say, of devices. And you still have an opening for the bottom here. You do have a little bit of rattle compared to the other ones right there, where there's pretty much close to almost no rattle, or very silent rattle. But this one still has a little bit there. Overall, I think the worst with the whole rattle problem is the originals. And you still can't really hit the buttons with the originals either. So, well, you can, but you'll have a nice hard time with it, especially if you have big old hands like me. So, overall, this still would have a bit of heart issues hitting it, but not as bad. It's still that nice thickness to it, so you can easily still hit each of the buttons very nicely. And, of course, you do have the port at the bottom to still do your charging. So, overall, I do think it worked pretty nicely for the colors. Now, final verdict here. Or I guess I should mention the price here before I go into the final verdict. This case right here is $32.99, and that is in American dollars, so United States of America, it is $32.99. Now, Zenin does do a bunch of discounts and stuff like that, so you can actually get different deals on these cases. Just depends on what they're doing at the time. They're very known for having a bunch of offers and stuff like that on their website, so you might actually be able to get this case for cheaper than just buying it by itself, but for right now, that is the standard price that they have it going for. Like I said, you could get it cheaper. They do discounts quite often. Now, you see there, the case is pretty nice. My only issues with this case overall, I say, is that it doesn't work well with the original bricks here. You either have the big chain issue, them being a lot thinner than something like the later devices, which, as you see here, it is the thinnest of the bunch. So that means it does come with the sad fact that it just has a lot of issues with this case. You cannot hit the buttons nicely. If you have big hands, you can't hit the buttons nicely. If you have smaller hands, then you might have a way better chance at hitting all the buttons very easily. So, or if you don't have fat fingers like me. So, overall, I think the case worked really well, though, for anything from the 20th and later, just because of how thick these are compared to the originals. And you can tell that these cases were made for those modern era of stuff, which is really nice because nowadays they don't really make modern cases. Well, you do have modern case examples out there, but this one does have the nice protection for the screen and just has the overall nice feel to it and everything. So, I do prefer this case over a bunch of them, and I even bought another one after getting mine. So that's how much I did like this product overall. Was even though it didn't work out well for these original cases, those original cases still have a case out there. So you still could easily protect those original ones. But these modern ones don't have as many options that come as nicely as this one does. So I did buy another one of these cases immediately, and I even pre-ordered their pendulum ones coming out. So Zenin, I think, did a really great job on this case. Even if it has issues with those older ones, it works super well with these modern devices, and I think people should totally get it if you are very much going for the modern age of Digimon stuff. If you're trying to go in for those older ones, I'd kind of put it in a meh area. It still protects them very nicely, but you will have issues hitting the buttons. And that's just one of the sad little side effects to it. I feel like there's an easy way to fix that, but I don't know if they would listen to that whole idea, where I think the best way to probably fix the issue with the older devices is just making button extensions for this little area right here. So take something like what a lot of phone cases have, where they'll take a little rubber part of the phone case and it has a little extension right there. I feel like this could use that for those older ones. But overall, I think it works super nice, so I can't complain too much. And that is pretty much it for this little video here. I will put a link down below to where to grab them. And I'm hoping Zenin does keep up production with these, because these have been super nice, and I'd love to see multiple colors of these. So hopefully one day they kind of keep on doing that. So that's pretty much it for this little video here. Thank you for watching, and Zenin, thank you for making this awesome case. And that's pretty much it. So see you later. Bye. Woohoo!